very supportive of Apple and Tim Cook. Of course, we also know that Congress could have a big role in deciding this debate, and that's why you see both sides also working so hard to win over the public. Guys, back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Let's now speak with two Apple shareholders who are joining us, and they're on opposite ends of this debate over the iPhone. Amish Shah is from Sierra Maya 360, who thinks Apple should unlock the device. Chris Cordero from Region Atlantic Capital is opposed to Apple creating any type of backdoor. Welcome to you both. Amish, first to you, because your own position is at odds with Apple's on this, but you're a shareholder. Why do you think they ought to unlock this device?
Yeah, you know, I've always been bullish on Apple, and I've always been saying their sentiments on this show. The biggest issue I see here is we're talking about national security here. We're talking about, you know, I am for privacy, and I don't want that permanent backdoor. But for this case, we're talking about national security and hopefully stopping other future terror acts. I think this is one of the biggest things for the privacy side and the public opinion that we'll have to see in a long time. But for me, it's all about national security. I want to see future attacks not happen. I lived through 9/11, living up in your area for a long time. I know a lot of people that passed, unfortunately, a lot of the families. And, you know, the biggest thing for me, it's all about national security.
Well, Chris, what's your side of this? I mean, obviously, Tim Cook is putting up the front. You would really expect him to protect both, I guess, his company's intellectual property, but also the principle here. So where do you come down?
Well, I think Tim Cook's doing a great job. I think you really have to defend this tooth and nail for Apple because it really gets to the core of their business model. You know, tablets and phones are 70% of their model. If we can't trust the data that's on there, and very sensitive data, right? I've got personal data, financial data, health data on my phone. I don't want governmental agencies having access to that. You build one back door into these devices, and then you can both let the government in and you can let nefarious characters into your phone. And that's why Apple's fighting so hard on this, and I think they're taking the absolute right stand.
Amish, would you sell your shares if they don't buckle here?
No, not at all. In fact, I think this is more about, I don't think this is going to hurt the image at all if they actually help the FBI. I do think that if they don't help them, what happens 2 weeks from now if we're not able to unlock this phone and an attack happens, and we find out 4 weeks from now when they do unlock it, that we could have prevented that. That's one of my biggest issues here. Go ask the San Bernardino family's victims. Go ask them if they would want to stop this. The chief came out today, and he even said, hey, you know, I don't know what's on there, but I do think we owe it to those families. I think that's one of the biggest things. And don't forget, one of the points here is this is going to be at an Apple facility. The FBI is following our laws. They could have done this on their own, just like China or Russia would have, but they didn't. It's going to be Apple engineers in an Apple secure building that'll be in one facility for one phone that the county owns on a dead terrorist.
Chris, just quickly, I mean, is there a possibility that, in fact, it's not really that slippery a slope as Amish suggests here?
No, I really think once you open this up a little bit, because there's other cases where the FBI is looking for information on phones, it becomes very difficult to try and parse it. And you know, you can wrap yourself into the cloak of national security, but you're really infringing on all of our civil liberties. Plus, you're putting our technology sector at risk. It's not just Apple. That's why you have other firms filing a brief. Most of the business of our tech companies is overseas. If they can't trust the data that's on these devices, that ruins our competitive advantage.
Would you sell your shares if Apple is forced to open the phone here?
If Apple compromises its business model, right, and think about it, over 70% of their revenues is from mobile devices.
Yeah.
Over 2/3 of the revenues are foreign revenues. So if people can't trust Apple, they'll start losing their brand, and potentially if it becomes a poor investment, I'll sell it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both. Sorry, Amish Shah, Chris Cordero there on opposite sides of this one. Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Let's get to some markets here. Our closing bell exchange.